How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moonbase. Hope you guys are great. It's good to be here with all of you. Today is a super interesting day, and I think that today is one of these days that we could just draw a line in the sand. You know, it's like with all these mutable squares that we've been having and this new moon that's coming, Pluto coming back into Capricorn, I think this is a big shift. Today is the moment. I think it's like, oh, here we go. Let me go back to this morning. So as we come into this morning, this moon is going to leave. Here we go. It's going to leave Gemini. And right before it goes into Cancer, it's going to activate this T-square. So Venus and Neptune are making their opposition today. So there is a conversation and a understanding that Venus and Neptune need to come to terms on and get clear with, right? So, and there's a lot of confusion that we've been experiencing and a lot of just mental, just internal stuff, and a lot of mental health stuff going on. And, I've seen that a lot lately, and a lot of confusion and a lot of things going on in the world that's confusing people and just pulling us in so many different directions. And it's just like over the top, and it's just a lot. A lot is happening all at once. And this moon in Gemini making a T-square with Venus and Neptune, it's like Venus and Neptune need to come to an understanding, and they need to kind of address these issues with our subconscious and our spirituality and our value. And thank God, because this moon in Gemini, which can be a little off the wall sometimes, right? But I think this moon in Gemini is helping be the mediator between Venus and Neptune, right? The middle ground of like being able to look at things from a dual perspective. And that's what this moon in Gemini is capable of. And that's what I do like about the moon in Gemini. It's like when it comes to these emotional things, where things do get like intense emotionally and there is conflict and there needs to be, an understanding and a conversation, and a agreement that has to be had, right? With oppositions, there's an agreement and an acknowledgement and an understanding, right? A bond, a marriage, a unification. So this moon in Gemini is at least helping us look at this emotional situation or this subconscious situation that's connected to our relationships or our creative projects or our worth, This can also bring an energy with this Venus opposite Neptune of not even like seeing how the rest of the world sees you, right? You might feel one way about yourself and feel a low self-worth. It's like, oh, I'm not enough. It's like, am I even worth it? It's like, are these, there's a lot of confusion that's happening with the physical world and the non-physical with this Virgo Pisces opposition. So it's like, it could be easy where we can just create those kinds of scenarios in our minds. There's so much mental internal chatter with Mars and Gemini and Jupiter amplifying that, and Mercury retrograding, which Mercury's coming direct today. Sun in a Mercury-ruled sign, Venus getting out of Virgo, which will come into Libra, which will be very exciting. Today is this day where we can draw a line in the sand and say, the vibe is totally shifting after today, going into the new moon, okay? Because this new moon coming into Cancer here, did I say new moon? I didn't mean new moon. This moon coming into Cancer, now the moon in its ruled sign, right? Venus will come into its ruled sign here. Excuse me. Not today. But now, it's like, at least with that moon in Gemini, helping deal with the conflict between Venus and Neptune and, trying to find this clear understanding. It's like this Venus and Virgo wants to, really keep things clean in the relationship and keep things organized so you can have healthy relationships or have a healthy relationship with yourself, or, really get things in order so you can really manifest a creative project or really align things and put things in order and do what must be done and get your hands dirty to bring in more financial possibilities. It's like we got to get our hands dirty if we want good results with Venus and Virgo. Venus and Virgo is not the best place, but we can get results with it if we're willing to get our hands dirty, if we're willing to be practical, to find solutions. And I think too, with this Venus-Neptune opposition, in our relationships, it's like we want that spiritual connection. We want that undercurrent of purpose, of spiritual purpose in those relationships. And I think this can bring up some very interesting encounters, of course, with Venus coming off of that Uranus-Neptune trine, and Uranus just 2 degrees off of a sextile to Neptune. So, this is a possibility of new people coming into our lives and new connections and new interesting dynamics of relationships playing out, and definitely from some spiritual place and some spiritual connection with Neptune supporting Uranus, and Venus and Uranus making great harmony now. That just occurred, and Neptune now starting to give its own polish on Venus as it comes into this Venus-ruled sign. So that's nice. This is nice. So these new relationships that could be developing and new people coming into our lives, Venus coming into Libra, dealing with Eros and Juno and the South Node. We're talking about past life situations, right? Past life relationships, past life connections, past life soul connections, right? Or things from the past that were unfinished, right? But it's Juno in Eros that Venus is about to deal with here. So it's like, love is a big thing. Relationships and love is about to play a huge part over these next few weeks, and Venus getting ready to come into contact with the South Node. That's going to activate the eclipse area. So, if there are new relationships and new connections that are forming, definitely from a spiritual place and definitely from some purpose, some karmic purpose, so karmic stuff in relationships are going to really start to be playing out. So, going through these mutable squares and these difficult conversations that can play out with so much Mercury energy at this moment. It's like, we are stepping into some intensity, a lot of intensity with Pluto coming back into Capricorn, but there is this kind of interesting dynamic with Venus coming into Libra here after this opposition to Neptune. So, but of course we don't want to get too lost in that with the South Node. It's like, Pluto coming back into Capricorn. It's like, it's the last time. Like, we gotta, reshift our focus and really look at what's going on. And because this is when the big shift and the big, it's the big moment. It's the big show. It's the big showdown, the final boss battle. Pluto's final moment in Capricorn. So here we go. In the afternoon, 2 o'clock roughish, 2:15, 2:10. Mercury's coming direct. Hallelujah. So, of course, we have to keep in mind with Mercury retrogrades, any planetary retrograde, there's that moment when it stations, whether it's before it goes retrograde or before it goes direct, where it stations and it's totally stopped. So Mercury being completely stopped, coming direct today, doesn't mean that, we're going to have it all understood or it's going to come together right away. Mercury's not even going to move a degree for a few days, So, but this is a great opportunity to start to roll out and prepare for how you want to express your mind, how you want to express your thoughts and your creativity in your heart. Because I think over these next few days, as Mercury does start to move forward, it will make a trine with Chiron, which we'll talk about later. But there's a lot of healing energy too, and a lot of healing conversations that can lead to some really amazing creative places or some romantic places with this Mercury and Leo. You know, a lot of romantic conversations that can be healing and really connecting mentally and creatively and as individuals. You know, it could be very healing to the self and the identity, you know. So it's like I said, today is us drawing a line in the sand, because once we get through today, then we're going into the new moon. It's like we're in completely new territory with Venus in Libra, Pluto back in Capricorn, Mercury direct. It's like, yeah, this has been a wonky few weeks, really, since that Mars-Uranus conjunction. It's just really sent us off into some really interesting places. So, and it gave us quite a boost to really push forward on a lot of things and get things done. And now it's like we're moving into fate territory. So Pluto coming back into Capricorn. This is the last moment of this fated, destined Capricorn Pluto transit that we've just had in these past 15 years. Not just had, the past 15 years. It's like this is all of that buildup coming down to this moment, this fated, destined moment. You know, and if you look back in history at that moment of Pluto at the last degrees coming into Aquarius and what was happening in America and what was happening in Europe, you know, we're going to see a lot of surprising. We've seen quite a bit of surprises, but the thing is like, personally, I'm not surprised by any of it. So it's going to get real interesting and really exciting. So we got the death card today, and I think this is appropriate because this whole thing of like, you know, drawing a line in the sand, it's like leaving that world behind, right? Leaving that moment behind, leaving those difficulties behind with these mutable squares and the confusion and the chaotic energy and the unsettling mental energy with the mutable squares. It's like, wow, you know, we can kind of leave that behind, but the lessons that we've took from that is allowing us to transform into this whole new, really on a collective level. I think collectively we can see that there's a collective death that's happening. There's a collective awakening that's happening all at once. So with a death is an awakening. And I think too, it's like not being afraid to accept that, like, wow, like we are now pulling the training wheels off. We are pulling, you know, this could be somewhat of ripping open a scab and having to like actually like let it go through the process of like fully healing with Pluto coming back into Capricorn. Because it's like when we see retrogrades like this coming in and out of signs and hitting the 29 0-degree mark, it could be like that. And it is those moments of fate. But also when it comes back, it's like you got to reopen that territory. So we have to also think about what it was when Pluto was at 29 degrees the last time. And that wasn't that far away. So Pluto came into Aquarius January 20th, 21st, 20th this year. So we have to think about the buildup of what last October with the eclipses and what happened even October 7th, you know, in the Middle East. It's like, that's the difference. You know, what we just went through the end of January up until now and this week, and going by next week, we're in it. New moon in Virgo, Pluto back into Capricorn, Mercury direct. We're in the final showdown. So taking into account that vibe of last fall and what it was coming in to January and right before Pluto, you know, taking a lot of that information and applying it to what is about to come, and this revealing of this transformation that we have gone through and what this next phase of this transformation that the collective is about to go through with Pluto and Aquarius, which we're already getting tidbits of. We've gotten a lot of it over these past few months. So we're going to take a break from that and finally wrap this baby up with Pluto and Capricorn. So today is the day where we start to really move into that territory. And these mutable squares have been really awakening through a lot of illusions and a lot of deception. And a lot of deception has come to the surface. And Pluto coming back into Capricorn is going to be a great revealing of things that are hidden. This is the last moment. I think, we think we're ready for it. But we do know that, I think with this Mercury squaring Uranus for the last time, this is when it's going to remind us that it's like, man, we can't really predict fully what it's going to be and what the outcome is going to be. We just know that it's going to be fucking off the charts. So I hope you guys have a great Wednesday, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out.